Hi guys, I'm going to be teaching you some grammar today. We're going to be studying how to use the past tense to tell a story in Spanish. And we're going to use the past tense, specifically the preterite tense and the imperfect tense. And it's going to be the preterite versus the imperfect because we're going to compare and contrast when to use one versus the other. And so that's what we're going to be learning today, using the preterite versus the imperfect in telling a simple story. All right. To get started, let's review a little bit of grammar, just general grammar, to know where in this timeline we can place the preterite and the imperfect. So as you can tell, the green arrow right here represents the present tense, and the blue arrow here represents the future tense. In the present tense, we can talk about things that are happening right now, like I'm talking in front of the camera right now, or we can talk about facts. I can talk. That's a fact about myself. I can talk. I can tell you things. So it's to talk about facts and to talk about things that are happening at this moment. We use the future tense to talk about things that will happen in the future. And in this lesson, we are going to be talking about the past tense. So that is something in the past. And we are placing here this block of time because it is the past tense to tell story. So a story that took time during some period of time in the past. Let me go ahead and explain to you what preterite means in the past tense. What is the preterite for this time in the past? The preterite indicates one point in the past. So an event that took place at one point in the past. And then that's why we have a red dot right there, meaning boom, it happened at one time. I can have another action right next to it, different event, different action. Boom, another action happened in the past. And I can have a sequential number of actions. Boom, another action happened in the past. So for instance, I can say, my last one, boom, I can say, I called my friend on the phone. I asked her if she wanted to come to the movies with me. We went to the movies, and at the end, returned home. So I did these actions. They're separate actions in the past, and thus the preterite actions that were sequential or that did happen in the past, just the mentioning of the action. Now, to compare that or to contrast that to the imperfect tense, that is the imperfect tense, is very simple. The imperfect tense is an action in the past, just like the preterite, but this time we have an action that took place during an active description of that past. So it is not a one instance, it is a description of what was happening in the past. Make sure to stop the video right now to take notes and to review that you understood my explanation. And I'll be back in a couple seconds, okay? So stop the video right now, take your time to digest the information that I just went over about preterite versus imperfect, and I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. And so just to reiterate what we just covered, to double check that your notes are clear, we're studying the past tense to tell a story. We're comparing and contrasting preterite versus imperfect. The preterite is a form of the past tense for an action that took place at one point in the past. And versus the imperfect, that is a form of the past tense that describes how things were in the past. So for my example of I called my friend and asked her that we could go to the movies, or we went and came back home, my imperfect would be it was raining while we were watching the movie. We were looking at the features, the preview features. So it's a description. The movie theater was cold. We were wearing our sweaters. So those are descriptions. Those are not events. That's just a description of what the experience was like. All right. So that is preterite versus imperfect. And so let's move on. I'm going to talk about this story that we have up here. We got 4 panels. We got a little boy that's happy right here. And then we have him sad here because he has to eat some soup. Then we have the famous boogeyman, El Coco. It's called in Spanish El Coco. And so El Coco takes away the boys that do not eat their soup. So that's what he's doing right here in this picture. And number 4, he takes them far, 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 far away. Okay, I'm going to tell you this story first in the present tense. I'm going to help you pronounce the words in Spanish. I'm going to help you understand the different verbs. And then we're going to transform it all the way into the past tense using the preterite and the imperfect as we explain how to use them. Great. So let's clear this. Let's try that again. Clear this up. And here we go. So here's how the story goes. El chico Juan, the boy Juan, está contento. He's happy. Cuando juega baloncesto. When he plays basketball. So you see him, he's happy. That's how he's doing. And that's when he plays basketball. And I have underlined the verbs for you. Está is one of the verbs, is, and juega, plays. El chico Juan está contento cuando juega basketball, o baloncesto, excuse me, baloncesto. Repeat the phrase after me so you can practice. El chico Juan está contento cuando juega baloncesto. El chico Juan está contento cuando juega baloncesto. The boy Juan is happy when he plays basketball. Number 2, he's not looking that happy right there. So Juan no está contento. No está contento cuando, when, tiene que comer. Tiene que comer is the verbal expression to say must eat. La sopa, the soup. Juan no está contento. He's not happy. Cuando, when, tiene que comer, has or must eat the soup. And that's number 2. He's not happy when he has to eat the soup. No. Number 3. El Coco, the boogeyman. El coco mete, mete. Mete means places in, puts in. El coco mete a Juan en un saco. He puts Juan in a sack. And number 4, the last one. El coco lleva a Juan. El coco takes Juan or carries Juan muy lejos en el saco. Very far away in the sack. En fin, the end. So stop the video and take a minute to write down this mini story, and I'll come back with the same mini story in the past tense. Thank you. Okay, I'm back. I hope that you have written down these notes in the present tense, and now we're going to compare how they change when we tell the story in the past. And we're going to pay attention to when we use preterite and when we use the imperfect. So let's go back. We have el chico Juan, and here we have the verb. Está in the present. In the past tense, we're using estaba. In the past tense, we're using estaba. Let me get a better tool for that. Estaba, straight line. And that is describing how Juan was doing in the past. So estaba and sin aba is the imperfect version of está. Está in the present, estaba in the imperfect, because that is describing the past, how Juan was doing during the past, a description. Not at one point, a description. This happened during some time in the past, during a period of time, because he was playing basketball. All right, so next. So el chico Juan estaba contento cuando, and there is again, jugaba. He was playing baloncesto. So jugaba, just as estaba, would be the imperfect. It's a description of how he was doing during the past. He was happy while he was playing or when he was playing. Juan no estaba contento. He wasn't happy cuando tenía que comer la sopa. He was not happy when he had to eat the soup. And that is also a description of how he was feeling at the moment. No estaba. And the other form of the imperfect is tenía, ia. So the imperfect is going to sound aba or ia. Those are the sounds for descriptions in the past. El coco, next sentence, el coco metió. Metió. That is the preterite, because he metió, which is put in, place in, a Juan en el saco. Metió a Juan en el saco at one point in time. It was not a description, it's one point in time. So it's one dot like we had in the timeline. It's one point in time. So el coco metió a Juan en un saco. And finalmente, el coco llevó a Juan, he carried Juan muy lejos en el saco. Llevó is also one point in time because it means he took him. He took him far away, muy lejos, en el saco. So that's the end of the story right there, el fin. But that is just the beginning of all the experiences that you are going to have as you learn how to use the preterite and the imperfect when telling a story in Spanish. Thank you so much. Keep on practicing and learning.